Yes.
What is your least favorite piece?
Oh,
Good question.
To play or to listen to?
To play.
Okay.
I forgot the name. It's so bad. I forgot the name. It's not
that one.
I forgot
the name.
Mussorgsky's pictures.
Really?
I don't even explain because I played too much.
Oh.
I played like 10 variations of it.
I see.
I just got over it.
My least favorite piece to play is probably any Paganini Caprice. Especially number... Actually, no, there's some of them I haven't even played because I just give up. But number... Is it number one?
Yeah, number one is pretty
Yeah,
bad.
I hate number one. I tried learning it and I was just like... Yeah. Yeah, any other questions?
Yes. Right?
Yeah. So like, most of the time we will like worry about judgments coming from others, and especially the idea that I'm not gonna disappoint someone that I love, like friends and family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these things prevent me from doing what I want to do, like, what I really want to do. So have you ever like came across these moments? Like, do you guys scared of like what you did will disappoint the other person between the two of you? And how did you like get over those moments in your life? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. Being worried about disappointing others, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, it's good to care about those people that are in your life and try to make them happy. I guess you have to be careful you don't disappoint yourself as well at the expense of not disappointing others, right? If you're doing things for everyone else but you neglect to look after what you want, then I don't know, I always feel like the last thing I want is to be 90 on my deathbed and disappointed that I didn't have the courage to go after what I wanted. But yeah, I think it's a fine line though, because I think some people might take that advice as just like, I'm not going to care about anyone, and like, there's no consequences to my actions, I just do what I want. I think, you know, obviously, it's good that you care about other people, but yeah, it's just also caring about yourself and that inner voice, and trying to find as much as possible solutions where, to the best as you can, everyone can be happy. Sometimes it's not possible, and then sometimes in those cases you do have to kind of set your boundary and just be like, you know, this is my life and this is what I believe in. And I remember there was something, actually, I went to I don't know if you guys know, but when I was around 21, I had like a phase where I had like, kind of like psychological problems, and they actually manifested in physical symptoms. So I couldn't really move or walk because I had like this weird like psychological pain that went throughout my whole body. And then I remember the doctor was talking to me about my relationship with my Asian mom. He's like, I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with my, and he's like, listen, I have not met a young Asian man that does not have issues with his mom. It's okay. I was like, really? And then, you know, and we were talking a little bit, and he's like, my mom said this, my mom said that. And he gave me a line that I'll never forget. He's like, because I remember at the time I always felt like if I did something to disappoint my mom, she would be unhappy or sad. And I didn't want her to be sad. And then I remember the doctor was like, you have to tell her, Mom, I love you, but your happiness is not my responsibility. And making that distinction was really like an epiphany moment for me. It's like, I can still love my mom, but I can't tailor everything I do in my life just to make her happy. So, yeah, she heard. Yeah, that's my answer.
No, that was a good answer. I think it's just like find that fine line, because you also want to carry a resentment over time, and that kind of does build up inside you. So it's better to kind of know where the lines are Cool. Yes.
Music is subjective. I just want to know, like, how do you guys decide a piece of music is good to you, both on a personal level or musical standpoint?
Music that's good for us personally.
Toronto's been asking really good questions.
Really good.
It's very different from Montreal.
A Montreal question or like something
Montreal
else.
was like, if Brett was a bubble tea,
What was the other one?
the
Like,
other one was like,
if you were tempo marking.
I like these questions. I mean, those are cool questions too. It's different.
But the Montreal was a really special game.
No.
What,
I called them like 4 times, and they're like, "Does your luggage have an electric toothbrush in it?" No. And like, oh, can you refill it out on the website? The description. I'm like, oh.
Wait, you lost your
Just tell them.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
luggage.
when we flew from Europe to here, my luggage didn't arrive.
Trust me, we were real spicy in Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Just tell them that your tooth have
Yeah,
out
we
and then
made
you
it
can
known
get
in our
tickets.
concert that my luggage, because I landed the night before at night, and I barely just had time to buy like 2 pairs of underwear. And then the next day was a concert, and I was still holding on hope at the time that we'd get our luggage. And the next day and the day after I called, didn't get it, so literally yesterday I had to go to Uniqlo and buy a lot of things. There were some things that we needed for the concert that was in the luggage, and they're gone now, so we had to rethink this one part in the show and change it up. It's fine, but it's just
Oh no.
all this
If you need a
unnecessary.
maid Brett costume, I've got you covered.
What's that?
If you have a maid Brett costume, I got you covered.
Oh,
Well, I mean, you'll see in the show Made Brett comes Sorry?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
That is true.
No, you just only go with carry-on.
Yeah.
Or West
should I be worried now?
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Because we've got
We're flying
Vancouver
back
after this.
later. Oh, yeah, and Vancouver is also there.
Air Canada too.
Just every city we progressively lose one more life.
Well, as long as you hold on to your violin.
Yeah.
Carry on, definitely.
Okay,
let's
okay,
get back
question,
to the
question. Okay, sorry.
All the questions. How do I decide what's a good piece of
Yes.
music? What I listen out for? I think I don't really think that much about it. When I listen to a new piece of music, I guess I just, first of all, if I enjoy it or not, and I don't necessarily have like a checklist of things I'm looking out for, but I do notice that for myself, I tend to enjoy music where it's harmonically a little bit more interesting, but yet it's not to the point that it's just an intellectual exercise. You know, sometimes composers can try to push the boundaries to the point that it's very interesting. You can like listen to it and think about it, but
Yeah.
you're no longer feeling that kind of emotion, that natural kind of expression. I think that's one of the reasons I really gravitate to like impressionistic, early 20th century, late romantic. That there's this kind of the harmonies are, it's almost like the precursor of jazz, where they're blurring the lines and things are just a bit like a watercolor painting, and there's these colorful harmonies that aren't necessarily like strict 5-to-1 things, but I don't know, I think music that feels very like too predictable sometimes, I find after a while listening to it, I get a bit bored about it.
Pop music.
Yeah, I didn't say it. I mean, pop music, yeah, like some pop music I can get into, but I will say most pop music, even the ones I do like, I tend to like go through a period of listening to it a while on repeat, and then after like a month I can't listen to it again, because it's just like, it's the same 2 chords, just like in my head. But having said that, there is like, sometimes pop music's good for like running if you want like energy and stimulation. Though I do sometimes run to classical music as well. Some of my best runs, I remember I did you know that route in Singapore that's like 8 kilometers? I did one in like, I think I did like a morning, so it's like sunrise. I was listening to like a Sibelius symphony and like fit the entire symphony. And it was really cool. So, yeah, that's how I feel about music. How do you?
Wow. Yeah, that. Well, actually, tying on to that, I was thinking, what type of music? I listen any classical music really, because I think the beauty about classical music is it grows on you over time. So usually I give it a chance. Of course, I do steer towards more of the romantic pieces a little bit more as a preference, but I feel like classical music is something that's timeless, and there are pieces that I always revisit, you know, and it sounds different every time. I don't know, there's just something about it. It's just Bach, solo sonatas, theaters, symphonies, you go back to it. When I listened to Bach when I was 15 versus now, it's very different. It's the same piece, same notes. It's very different. How I would approach it was also very different. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Something to
you.
keep going, yeah. Well,
Yes,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I first started. I think the first 4 or 5 years, which is quite a while, was like my mom just pushing me and being like, if you don't practice 30 minutes, then I can't eat dinner type of thing.
yeah, same. I had a trade with my mum. If I play for 30 minutes, I can play games for 15 minutes.
Whoa.
So,
Nice.
but there were times when you just don't feel like it. And during those times, it's actually okay just to take a step back. But always remember, try and get back into it.
So your mom was your tiger mom?
I think my mom probably could qualify in the,
Tiger Mom Arena.
yeah, I don't know if there's a proper definition somewhere, maybe Oxford Dictionary.
I guess they actually said, come how your chicken or not how your chicken, I guess that would count.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't say those exact words, but I think the tone, the love behind, the tough love behind it was very similar, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, in the front.
I will try not make this convoluted. It's sort of like 2 questions in one.
Okay.
So interesting. It's something that I've been trying to navigate throughout my academic musical career during undergrad. And it's, how do you have like the confidence in something or about something when you don't really have proof for it? And my question is that, throughout this, when you're thinking about what you want to do, later on in the industry, like what you want to go into, and if it involves your passion, and sort of this monetization of your passion, like does that thought of it being like work sort of interfere with that? And I've sort of fallen out of love a bit with, my major instrument's piano, and I have fallen out of love with it a little bit during undergrad just because of all of these thoughts. And it's like, would you keep at something until it's a hard no, or do you stop? Do you stop when it's no longer a hard yes?
Could you repeat the first half again? Sorry.
Oh, sure. No, so do you mind if I record?
Oh, we don't mind. Yeah, it's perfect.
The first half was just about me navigating this question about how do you have the confidence in something when you don't really have the proof for it.
Can you tell me what you mean by that? Like, give me an example.
Have the confidence in being able to pursue what you love. There's no proof for it, and given the nature of the music industry, of it being difficult in order to be able to depend on, what you love, it's difficult to grapple with, and then it becomes a tort almost.
Okay. I think that, I relate to that actually, for the first question. I think there's always, I'm assuming it's kind of the uncertainty that's always lingering in your head. And with uncertainty, there's also like a bit of chaos because you're not sure, right? There's so many things that are holding you back, especially if there's no proof or if you haven't seen proof yet to work. But generally, I would flip that and think if there's no proof, I think that's a great opportunity, right? Maybe you have an intuition on something that you think it's a great idea, but no one's already thought about it, and you kind of just pull on that thread. And usually, it might not work, but I think it's good to create the habit of pulling on that thread a little bit more, and just have the confidence in looking at what's there, what's behind it. That's the case with us for when we made our first video. I can relate to that. I remember 2013, we did the typical, go to undergrad lessons. Our teacher was like, when you graduate, you have to go to the States, you go to Royal Academy, go to Juilliard, all that stuff. Right? And then, but there was just that little thread for us. Like, what if we do this video? What if, right? And it gets also tricky because the environment you're in, it's unusual, especially when there's no proof, and there's no one there. Even the teachers are not like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's teachers have that. Friends also like, what are you guys doing? You guys should be auditioning for ABCDFG. I also feel like because of that feeling, uncertainty, I get excited because there's a vast amount of opportunity that's untouched. So if you can kind of get used to the habit of pulling on those intuitive threads, you might see something unique, and over time you get confidence. You get more confidence doing it. It's like coming on stage and performing.
Can I just say, Brett's one of the people that I've met in my entire life that is so good at this, at jumping into uncertain situations. I've always likened it to being like, like a freezing cold swimming pool. And then most people like dipping their toes in like, oh, and then procrastinate, like, do I want to go in? And this guy just jumps right in. And then, but once you're in, it's like, oh, it's fine. But then you see him do that, and it's like, oh, let's probably jump into, but it's just like, oh, but I don't want to because it's so uncertain. Brett's always been really good at when there's some new idea that we have. Usually Brett's the one that motivates and then be like, hey, let's do it and give it a shot. And what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I've always found too, like, as long as you're learning from things that don't work out and constantly kind of updating your understanding of how things work, it's never a wasted effort. It's only wasted if you don't reflect from it and you don't learn from it, right? And if anything too, like, I always find failures are great because it just teaches you that, hey, it's okay. So every time you do a bad performance, you can take it two ways. You can be like, oh, I suck, I did a bad performance. Or you could be like, I'm still alive, I'm gonna practice and it's okay. And then you feel more like good about it, and then slowly you stop being focused on the what if I mess up, and instead you just focus on I want to have a great time on stage because you've done the mess ups and you've survived them. It's kind of hard.
So it's really kind of training or tricking your brain to be like, it's okay. Because I can imagine for you right now, because I felt it before, like everything could go wrong. You can see every scenario that could go wrong, right? But what you should try and see is everything that could go right? Of course, don't just jump into the ocean. It's probably not a good idea. Keep it in the swimming pool. But, I think trust your instinct on that one. And you just have to practice going through that motion. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yes.
I have a softball question, like low stakes. And I met a friend through the Twoset fandom. She lives in Australia, and one time we have this ongoing 3-year debate that I'd like you to the best of your ability, answer this question.
Okay.
So she's under the impression that snow is metal, and I, a Canadian, obviously says snow is not metal. So to the best of your ability, is snow metal? This is an actual debate we've had for the past 3 years.
Snow like snow? Rain like snow.
Like snow, yeah.
Metal like...
No, like iron.
Metal.
Oh,
like the
right.
material.
Like metal, bro.
Oh my god.
Metal.
Is snow metal?
Is snow metal?
Like the chemical... What's the chemical definition of metal? I don't even know.
They don't know either.
I'm not...
We have debated this. She
qualified.
sent me one essay, she wrote a whole essay with a team of writers, and they sent it to me, and I had to make a respond essay.
Does she know we're musicians, not scientists? I mean, is snow like water? Like
Yes.
Wait, is it water?
It's water, right?
Yeah.
So where does the metal part come from? Like the alcohol, is that water? I don't know.
Metal has a property where it's malleable, where you can like, how do you define malleable?
Is there any chemists here?
You can bend it and
Yes.
form it into different.
Okay, so you can take snow. She saw on video one time that you can take snow and bend it in this way. and that's her only logic. She lives in Australia. I don't
Sounds
know.
like a snowball.
Wait, is there any like chemists or scientists here? Yes.
I'm a nanomaterials major, and you define it based on what the chemical composition is, and snow is just water.
Oh, there you go. Material scientist.
Nice.
Nice.
In the front.
I have a very quick question, but you have to answer very, very quickly.
Okay.
All right? What's
Green.
your key?
What's my key?
See.
That's the first thing I thought of. You told me to answer quickly.
I'm sorry. That just sounds.
No, not C major.
I don't think I'm C, but that's the first thing in my
Oh,
head.
that's too bad.
F major. I don't know. D major.
D major. Mine's D flat.
Ooh. Do you play the piano?
I do.
A string player would
Never.
No,
Way too many flats. Okay.
Yes, in the front.
Do you have any tips for overcoming stage anxiety or like stage fright? And is that something you've experienced and has like gotten better over time?
Definitely.
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, still get it to this day, a little bit. I think it's a lot better than it used to be, though. During my university years, that was by far the worst. I remember I got to a point where every time I went on stage and played anything slow, I would get shaky bro. And so towards the end of my uni, my entire recital program was just fast pieces. Because I could do like fast, like easy, but I couldn't play like a slow, simple melody because I just start shaking, right? I think during the time I like read so many books, I was trying so hard to find ways to get out of it. Didn't really. The only real advice I got was from the soloist, double bass soloist. I forgot his name, but he was just like, because he tours the world and he's like, yeah, I still get nervous, but you just get used to it, and just repeated exposure was basically what he said. And I remember thinking, like, at the time I was already doing like weekly performances, and it just felt like every week it just got worse. It didn't get better. But at the same time, I don't know, fast forward like 5-10 years, it did just get better, like somehow. Like if you just keep putting yourself on the stage and keep performing, it might take longer or shorter. For me, it took longer than I expected. But at some point, I remember just thinking, oh, I'm not shaking on stage anymore. So that was really cool. I think, but like 2 more pieces of advice I would say to this is, looking back, I think there was one thing that could have sped up that process of adapting, which is when you do force yourself to come on stage and perform, that's good as the first part. But the second part is when you do get nervous and start, messing up or shaking or whatever, to like sit with that feeling and not try to run away or block it out. So what I used to happen would be when I get shaky bro, I used to try and stop it, and I would tense up, like, don't shake, oh, this is so bad. What I've learned instead is actually if you just let yourself shake and kind of be like, I guess I'm nervous now. Oh, this is so dumb. Oh. Actually, it goes away a lot faster. So learning to, the way I'll explain is like, learn to love the part of yourself that gets nervous. I think that's the main thing. It's like, rather than trying to be ashamed of the part of yourself that gets nervous and hiding it, just be like, hey, that's a part of who I am. I'm human. And right now I'm nervous and it's fine. And let that emotion come through. Because I think it's like, emotion needs motion, right? If you try to block it, it actually just wells up even more. And then I think the second advice as a violinist, what instrument do you play?
Violin.
Yeah. The other one's more practical, is actually simply to make sure you know which bits that tend to tense and wait. Rather than like this, just letting gravity let things come down. That has helped me a lot. So maybe something to think about.
Well, that's changed his playing a lot. I've noticed it.
Yeah.
Last few years, the weight stuff, he sounds like.
If you look at my old playing videos, I'm a bit more like this, whereas now it's a lot more. I think one of the teachers gave me this really good advice, just like, you can have your bow arm here, and your arm here, but the feeling of this, that weight versus my shoulders up. I don't feel any weight in my left hand now. So you can just kind of do that to yourself to see, and it helps a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I think
we have like a few more questions. Time for a few more questions.
wrap up soon, yeah.
Three more questions. Okay. Yeah.
I think you kind of have answered that before, but I want to ask, like, have you listened to any music recently, and have you like discovered any new music that you love to listen?
New music recently. Let me think. I feel like I have, but nothing's coming to my mind right now.
Like in any genre, not only classical.
I haven't been listening much, to be honest.
I mean, I've discovered bits and pieces here and there, but
but I haven't been listening to like Barber's String Quartet.
oh yeah,
That was something new. I didn't listen to it, but discovered it was a thing. Like, was it the cello concerto by Barber and also Walton cello concerto?
yeah, I didn't know that was.
I didn't know they existed.
Concerto.
Yeah.
What is that concerto that you talk about? Like, I didn't get the name.
Walton.
And
Yeah,
Barber.
cello concerto.
Yeah.
And Barber. Yeah. The most recent discovery that I really like, I do remember, but this wasn't that recent. It was like last year. Was a piece by Debussy called. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation and it's French, but La Damoiselle, Mademoiselle, something like that. And it's his first piece of music that went against the academy. So he learned in an academy that trained him in conventional how he should be writing.
Kind of heard that story.
Yes, and then the first piece, I think he got a scholarship, and as he graduated, he was meant to write 4 pieces back to offer to Academy, and 3 were like in the proper way, and then the 4th one was this one, and that was the birth of his new style. So it kind of had an interesting mix of what we know as his style today versus kind of the old, more traditional way of composing. And in fact, fun fact, as you'll see tonight in this concert, that story was part of the inspiration of tonight's concert, so I hope you guys enjoy that.
What was that, like, the kind of music was Debussy's, like the one you talk about? Is it a quartet or a...
It's a piece for, it's like orchestra, but also choir. Orchestra and choir.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Mademoiselle something like that, I forget. There's a YouTube video, and it's like a painting of this like Renaissance woman with like flowers in her hair. That's what I remember.
Nice. One more question? Someone? Yes.
Hi. I'm an Asian mom, and I'm not a tiger mom, but I'm a warrior mom. So I want to ask, how do you know you choose the right music teacher for your kids?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question. Oh, how? How do you know you found the right teacher?
You're right, that is very important. First of all, I think having the wrong teacher can be, it can set back both the improvement and also the enjoyment of violin or instrument. I guess trying to find the right teacher though.
I know if you have a teacher that doesn't want you to change teachers, that I would keep an eye out for that. Just because if sometimes students outgrow the teachers, and I think it's the teacher's responsibility to say, hey, I think you're at this level now, you have to move on.
That's so true.
To another teacher. There's a lot of repeat cases where teachers don't want to let go of their students, which I understand. They have great students. There's a bit of connection there. They just don't want to leave them. But I think the good teacher should know when to move the student on for the student's sake. But in terms of finding a teacher, though, that is really tricky. I think the first and foremost thing I'll look at is how all the other students are performing. That's a really good indicator to see if the teacher is good or not. Okay. So if you have a teacher and there's no proof that their students can play the instrument, well then I would not go to that teacher. Like you say, hey, I'm a violin teacher, all the students play saxophone. That's a problem, right? You're like, oh, okay, I'm not sure. So I think that's the first one. Get a chance to hear the students play. Second, if you do get a chance to hear the students play, how consistent are all they playing? Are they all the same? Are they different? What's going on here? Are they consistently good? Consistently bad? Like, I think that's a good way. It takes a lot of work, but I think it's definitely worthwhile. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also say, I feel like the students should feel like they're improving. And if they're not improving, even if it's the greatest teacher, it might just mean it's not a good connection or good match, right? It doesn't matter if this person is the most famous teacher around town. Maybe that teacher's so good, but they're so busy, their attention's spent on all the other 25 students. At the end of the day, it's about whether you're the student, you're improving, and also whether your passion for music is continuing to be fostered. I'll say teachers that make great violinists that hate playing the violin, what's the point? You know, to me, that's a road to burning out.
We've seen that before. A lot of great players that are our age, they just quit. They stop playing out of nowhere. And we were like, whoa, what happened, you know? So I think that there might have been cases like that. So the passion just disappeared. Yeah. Sorry, we couldn't give a better answer, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everyone. We have to wrap up. I think we've just got to get warm up, get ready for the concert.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you guys in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Enjoy the concert.
Thank you.